And on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Podcaster and documentarian now, Matt Walsh. What is a Woman? That documentary that came out recently.
I haven't seen it yet. Have you?
I have. It's good. Okay. It's good. He was testifying before the Tennessee state legislature about legislation that you see being debated, argued over in a lot of states at present that would ban trans surgery for minors. And he had this exchange with a state representative named Caleb Hemmer, who's a Democrat from Nashville. See, that's the thing with leaving Chicago, go to Nashville. I know that's attractive. Nashville's too big. Democrat. Yeah, I don't think that's the landing spot. But anyway, Matt Walsh, his exchange with that Dem state rep.
Well, people are adults at 18, but actually, your brain is not fully developed until you're 25. So we should be having a conversation about whether we should even be doing these surgeries to people at 18. But certainly before 18, it's absurd. I mean, do you think that a 16-year-old can meaningfully consent to having their body parts removed? Do you? No?
Anybody? Bueller?
Yeah.
No.
No?
Yes?
Anyone?
No.
We do not. Yeah, we asked the question.
We asked the question. We don't give answers. We ask the question.
Representative Hemmer, you are recognized.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Go back to asking your questions. You ask your little questions. You fill out your little questionnaire. Right. Other questions that could be asked probably would draw the same response as, I don't know, should guy who's 6'5" and 215 pounds be competing in sports with women?
Oh, like a 6'5" former Navy SEAL who joined a European women's basketball team and slammed the balls down the throats of everybody on the opposing team?
Too many examples, unfortunately, to go through, which is what prompted, I suppose, in part, this op-ed from Riley Gaines in the Wall Street Journal on the occasion that former Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker, who himself played basketball in college, is going to be the NCAA's new president. And she would like to hear what he has to say and offer some perspective as an All-American college athlete herself on this issue of biological men playing women's sports. She sort of provided an open letter to him to say, I'd love to meet with you and bring other athletes and have a conversation about it here from, premier female athletes about this participation of men in our sports. Sounds like a good idea. Riley Gaines is a 12-time NCAA All-American swimmer, a 2022 graduate of the University of Kentucky, and the spokeswoman for Independent Women's Forum. Riley Gaines, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you guys so much.
So, have you heard from Charlie Baker yet?
I have not heard from Charlie Baker yet. I sent him a letter a couple weeks ago to which I have not received a response.
And what is it that you and perhaps some of your former teammates or current college athletes, female athletes, want to tell Mr. Baker?
We want to tell him that what we experienced at our NCAA championships last year competing against Leah Thomas, who, like you guys explained, was 6'4", fully intact as a male. We want to tell him that what we experienced was discrimination on the basis of sex, which is, of course, what Title IX was created to protect. It feels like we've done a total 180 from back to 1972. We're time traveling 50 years. I sent him that letter speaking up for more than just myself. There are so many, especially present female athletes, who are emotionally blackmailed and just intimidated into silence by their universities. And so I'm trying to be a voice for, again, not just myself, but the present female athletes, the past female athletes who fought relentlessly for Title IX, and, of course, the future female athletes who don't yet quite understand the implications this will have on them as well.
But these former, not former, but the swimmers that that are afraid to come forward, they know that this is wrong, though, and it's not a level playing field, right?
Absolutely. I can't even tell you the amount of, of course, present female athletes, but elite Olympians, both male and female, who have messaged me privately saying, thank you so much for what you're doing. I can't speak up because I don't want to lose my sponsorships, or I don't want to lose my scholarship, but we support you. And at first I truly felt so honored by this, but now I'm realizing that these people are part of the problem.
Right. Yeah, now especially in the era of the NIL, not just my scholarship, but my additional income flow. With corporate sponsors, that's actually another wrinkle I hadn't really considered, but that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So what about male athletes coming forward to say that this is inappropriate? It's like it's you, it's other female athletes generally, but there seems to be a lot of male athletes who are scaredy cats too.
Exactly. I think they're looking at this as if it's not really their problem because, of course, the male category isn't under threat, even with the possibility of trans men competing in their category. That doesn't threaten any of their success. So
maybe the Northwestern men's football team, but that would be about it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I feel like they think it's kind of not really their problem, and that is not the right way of looking at this. This is an injustice to not just female athletes. It's so far beyond that. This, of course, affects men. It affects women. It affects people who aren't athletes, because if you have a child who plays a sport, if you have a sister, if you have a mom, this carries on so far beyond just one person personally. And so being silent is complicity.
But I think the Leah Thomas story, that woke Americans up, because I know some people who are just, it's all right. It's just one player. It's just, one sport.
Right.
But that seemed to anger America when he took awards away that you guys deserve, that you worked for.
Totally. When you put a man on a woman's podium, stealing their honors, their titles, their scholarships, it sends a clear message to women. And that message is that you don't matter and you are simply there to validate the existence and the feelings and the identity of a man. And you're right, that is something that infuriates people who don't necessarily consider themselves a feminist. I by no means, before all of this, would have considered myself a feminist, but I feel like we've kind of, as a society, we've developed a new term for feminism, and I call it a modern-day feminist, which just means that women deserve respect and equal opportunities, which is wild to even have to be arguing.
Yeah, it's interesting that there is some sort of a solidarity across the political spectrum on this, too. I mean, with somebody like Martina Navratilova willing to come forward and say, basically that, this can't stand, this is no good. This doesn't work, but it still seems like there's more fear than there is a rallying going on.
Definitely, and I truly hate that this issue has become political, because sports are the one thing where politics should never interfere. But truthfully, this is so blatantly obvious in terms of understanding the biological differences between men and women, that this is a winning issue for Republicans. They, of course, see this and they want to seize the opportunity. This is a winning issue for anyone, and that's why I think this issue is special. I feel like there are very few things in politics where majority of people across the political spectrum can agree. But, of course, nearly all Republicans agree, and I think it's nearly 50-60% of Democrats agree with this topic. And so the Republicans are definitely seizing the moment on winning this issue.
All right, so 2 days ago, the World Surf League came out and said that transgender athletes are going to be able to surf. Surfing champ Bethany Hamilton, not in favor of this one.
My hope is that if I ever have a daughter who is competing in surfing or any sport, and also for all the aspiring young generation of women, to have a bright and promising opportunity in her ambition to be the best of the best woman in her sport.
And she refuses. She's not going to serve in that championship. But she was suggesting that there be a third category. You have the men's category, the women's, and then you have a transgender category. How do you feel about that when it pertains to swimming?
Honestly, I do think in sports like surfing or like swimming or like track and field where you're, of course, on a team, but you're competing kind of individually. Mm-hmm. I think a third category, an open type category, is an awesome way to ensure everyone's opportunities to play sports, because I think that's important and no one should be limited from that. It gives everyone the chance for athletic success, and it, of course, keeps the playing field even. So people who are in opposition of this bill, of this proposal, I just don't understand as to why, because it makes perfect sense.
Well, there's two reasons why. One is there's not going to be much competition because how many men are really competing as women athletes? That's number one. But number two, the larger political point, which I'm sure you appreciate now, is wait a second. You're not recognizing me as I say I am, and so you're not validating me. And if I'm not validated, then I'm not participating.
Why am I doing this?
It may take something more like a Bethany Hamilton, where premier female athletes say, "I'm not participating." I mean,
she's their moneymaker.
It's a difficult decision because you don't want to lose your scholarship, you don't want to lose your income in the case of Bethany Hamilton, But it's a conundrum. I wonder, like when you were, because you just graduated from Kentucky. What was the honest conversations, away from prying cameras, between the women on your team, between parents and athletes? I mean, we heard a lot of the Penn parents were not happy about Leah Thomas, but the parents of daughters, their daughters on that team, but they were afraid to say anything. They would send these anonymous open letters exemplifying their fear. So I wonder what the real conversation was between all you folks that were stakeholders.
From the girls who were on the pool deck at that meet, and from female athletes I've talked to outside of just swimming up until this point, I mean, it's got to be around 95 to 98% of female athletes agree with my stance, with our stance, because they have put so much work in, so much time. And the facts are right in front of us that Thomas, the year before becoming the fastest female in the country, was ranked 462nd at best in the men's category.
Right.
It just feels like we're being mocked. It feels like everything we've dedicated our lives to, because majority of these girls have been playing since, they're 4 or 5 years old. It just feels like it's kind of, I don't want to say for nothing because we've accomplished amazing things, but it just feels like there's someone who can do it better who doesn't have to try as hard. And so each day at our NCAA championships last year, the grumbles got worse and worse. I think people that first day, they were initially a little timid, walking on eggshells. But then when we watched Thomas win a national title, there was grumbles. And then the next day, people were angry. And it was obvious. Everyone was extremely uncomfortable in the locker room. No girl wanted to be displaced by a man.
Yeah. Well, Riley Gaines, 12-time NCAA All-American swimmer, 2022 graduate, University of Kentucky, the spokeswoman for the Independent Women's Forum. Riley, thanks so much for joining us, and I hope you hear from Charlie Baker, and we'll continue to watch your leadership on this issue.
Well, thank you guys so much. I truly appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us, and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Did you give up on your New Year's resolution already? You don't have to, since you can lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days with NJ Diet. That's guaranteed weight loss. NJ Diet's scientific approach uses your hair, saliva, and blood work to personalize solutions and supplements to help reset your metabolism, where the side effect is weight loss. NJ Diet then uses DNA testing to help you keep it off. No shots, no hormones, no surgery, no prepackaged foods. Contractually guaranteed weight loss of 20 to 40 plus pounds. Full supervision every step of the way to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You'll even be provided the doctor